Hello and welcome. Nikki and I here to tell you all that has happened in our own markets today. So Nikki, tell us, it's not been a bad day, certainly not for the benchmark indices.
Sure. I think after 2 days of losses, Nifty has finally bounced back in green and has seen gains of around over 0.5%, that I'd say. And it's a close about 8,750 mark. Throughout the day that we can see, after getting somewhat subdued start, the market gained momentum steadily throughout the day and ended the day around 8,778 with gains of around 53.30 points. And also, so this was a good day of performance, Agam, that we saw, and the markets closed in green after 2 straight days of losses. And both these defensive counters such as IT as well as pharmaceuticals, they led the gains for the markets. Pharmaceutical counter gains were led by the stocks of Cadila Healthcare, which rose to their 2 years high after they got no observation from after FDA issued no observation for the stock, and in rub-off effect to which all the pharmaceutical stocks saw good amount of gains for the day. Also, there was a bit of action which IT stocks witnessed. Would you want to talk about that, Agam?
Absolutely, but before I go to the IT stocks, let's address what's happened in the futures and options space. Well, we really haven't seen too much movement specifically with respect to futures, but what we do see in the options market is a little bit more writing when it comes to the 8800 put. Of course, this is considering the fact that we have moved substantially upwards, at least in today's day of trade. It's the 8700 put where we've seen a large amount of addition towards open interest. On the other hand, some unwinding when it comes to the 8800 call. But coming back to the information technology sector, as you were mentioning, well, we have had the management of Tata Consulting Services say that they will consider a buyback or in a board meet this coming Monday, that is February the 20th. And after that, Bloomberg Quint also spoke to the chief operating officer of Infosys, and they are saying that they are not averse to a buyback either. On the back of which we have seen substantial gains. Do remember, Infosys and TCS both have seen a good up move today, and I think they're also the few of the biggest gainers in today's day update.
Yeah, so moving back to the gainers list for Nifty, we see Sun Pharmaceutical Industries as being the top gainer for Nifty, sitting up with gains of around 4.5%, close to 4%. Aurobindo Pharma was second in the list with gains of around 3.5%. Infosys, as Agam mentioned, was up with gains of around 3%. And then we had the other auto stocks such as Tata Motors and Maruti Suzuki, which were up with gains of around 2.5% and 3%. On the worst performing side, we had ITC stock, which tanked 2.5%, Bharti Infratel, which was down with losses of around 1.5%, and Asian Paints too followed the suit. Well, for Asian Paints, it ended a day with loss after its subsidiary Berger International said that it will fully acquire Sri Lanka's Causeway Paints in all cash deal. That's that in terms of Nifty movers and gainers, Agam.
Well, it was a much better day when it comes to the broader markets, considering the market breadth, because we're looking at roughly 4 gainers for just 1 loser. But let's take a look at some of these key gainers in today's day of trade. As we were talking about Cadila Healthcare, that's moved up by as much as nearly 20%. Now, the JP Group stocks are a little bit of a question, because this yesterday was where we saw substantial weakness, and once again they are looking at somewhat of a recovery. So all JP Associates, JP Infratech as well as JP Power all gaining anywhere between 9 to around 11%. Radico Khaitan is the other counter which has also moved up by as much as 7.4%, followed by India Cements. With respect to some of the other counters which showing some weakness today, we have GMT Auto declining as much as 5.2%, followed by Eros International down 3.7%, Ramkrishna Forging, Godrej Industries as well as Shilpa Medicare also declining by anywhere between 2.5 to 3%. On the whole, it's been a better day, certainly when it comes to the broader markets, especially when it comes to the market breadth, because it has improved. But as far as the benchmark score, consolidation has continued. But that is all that we have for today. Stay tuned in a Bloomberg Quint, and we will see you tomorrow.